Dear viewers, the topic which we will discuss today is with a question mark. Can socialism save China or People's Republic of China? This question is, I think, is very relevant because recently the Communist Party of China celebrated its centenary, that is 100 years. 100 years of the formation of Communist Party of China, CPC, which was formed on the 1st of July 1921. So the Chinese President Xi Jinping, in his address at the Tiananmen Square on July 1st, while celebrating 100 years of Communist Party of China, said that only socialism can save China. And socialism in our country with Chinese characteristics. This is very important to understand because China is the only country which is on paper ruled by the Communist Party of China. The Communist Party of China came to power in October 1949. So it took them around 28 years to struggle, 1921 onwards, 1949. And the regime of Chiang Kai-shek was overthrown. And the Communist Party of China, led by Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai, they captured power. And Chiang Kai-shek regime took refuge in Taiwan, called as Formosa, and established their own government. So that's another debate, there's another story that Communist People's Republic of China from 1949 till 1971 had no representation in the UN. The seat of the UN was occupied by Taiwan. Till the time the US dropped its veto in October 1971, Taiwan was expelled and People's Republic of China was admitted to the UN. So it took China several decades that it emerged as an independent state. Independent, it basically means that it got independence from the nationalist government of Chiang Kai-shek, October 1949. So more than 70 years, it took China 70 years to emerge as the world's second largest economy. So the question is that when the Chinese president says that only socialism can save China, what does it mean? Is China a socialist country? No. Is China a communist country? No. The only thing is basically that the Communist Party of China is the only party which has a right to rule. That's it. China is not a democratic country. There is no political pluralism in China. Opposition in China and those who, particularly in Xinjiang and Tibet and Hong Kong and elsewhere, and even in mainland China, they are against the monopoly or monopolization of China, of power by the Communist Party of China. So it is basically capitalism, communism, copycorn. It's not communism. China is not a communist country because in communism, according to what Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, there is absolutely no scope as far as private property is concerned. There is no scope for capitalism. But China, you will see, there are people who are multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires, and they have private properties and free trade, and economy is basically cannot be called as a socialist, a communist economy. The thing is basically that Communist Party of China, although one can say that it has passed through a process since Mao Zedong, 1949 till 1976, when 1976 when Chairman Mao, chairman of Communist Party of China, he died. And then there was a transition, and that transition led to Deng Xiaoping, who came to power as successor of Mao in 1979, and he, as a Communist Party of China, he basically pursued the policy, open door policy. And then the incumbent or the current president, who is now having third term. So basically, I mean, it is true that the Chinese government has pulled around 400 million people from the poverty line, that China is the world's second largest economy. It will surpass the US perhaps in 2026 or maybe earlier. The Chinese foreign exchange reserves are $4 trillion. And in 1980, when the open door policy of Deng Xiaoping was unleashed, China's foreign exchange reserves were only $2 billion. The trade of China is $4 trillion. Its exports are more than its imports. A trade surplus of several $100 billion. So that is true. It's a miracle in case of China. And the Communist Party of China, the same place where the Chinese president addressed the celebrations of 100 years of Communist Party, the same place where in June 1989, when the then Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev was visiting Beijing, there was a revolt by the Chinese students, the uprising, which was called as the Tiananmen Square uprising, where tanks were used against protesters. Several hundred protesters were killed and the revolt was suppressed. And Li Peng, who was the Prime Minister of China, he was blamed. He was held responsible for the massacre. That how the military was used. And those who had killed hundreds of protesters, they were brought from outside Beijing. They were not from the local. They were not from the local area, and they used brutal force. So, those who are the dissidents, who are in the opposition in China, they argue that the Communist Party of China, if it allows what Mikhail Gorbachev had allowed in his policy of glasnost, openness, and perestroika restructuring, and Communist Party will lose its monopoly over power. On paper, the Soviet Union, there were 10 million members of Communist Party. Where were they? Where they were in 1988, 1989, 1990, 91. Because most of such members had joined Communist Party because of benefits and perks. Same is the case with China. So the moment the Chinese people are given a chance, an opportunity, according to the critics of the Communist Party of China, the Communist Party will lose. There are issues which China is facing these days, absolutely. It's not only the pandemic thing which they were blamed of, particularly when the then American President Donald Trump called it as Chinese violence. The manner in which religious persecution is taking place in Xinjiang, the manner in which Tibet has been suppressed, and in Hong Kong particularly, a lot of political suppression which is taking place. So, the US and the West They have taken notice of that, of the threats of China posed by China, and the growing Chinese military expenditures. This is only second to the American military expenditures of $700 billion of American military expenditures. The Chinese military expenditures are several $100 billion, more than $200 billion. So it is true that the Chinese, successive Chinese governments, particularly this government, has been very wise. Policy of non-interference. That is what Xi Jinping, he said, that on the occasion of the 100 years of Chinese Communist Party, in his address at the Tiananmen Square, that we will not allow anyone to interfere in our affairs, and they will be dealt in a very hard manner. That was a threat from the Chinese president. So how the G7, how NATO and the West, under the leadership of the US President Joseph Biden, they have agreed to unleash policy of containment of China. Earlier there was the containment of communism of the Soviet Union, the Soviet bloc. Now it has been replaced with containment of China. The China needs to be contained because it's a dragon. It is becoming a dangerous country. It has its ambitions to dominate the world, to rule the world. This the West will not allow. So the thing is basically that socialism is not socialism. The Chinese mode of governance is not communism, is not socialism. It's pure, you can say, opportunism. That to basically keep people happy, particularly the elites happy, that they can make money, but only if they accept Communist Party of China. Because Communist Party of China, according to them, is the only uniting force. Like the Communist Party of Soviet Union was the only uniting force. And this is the mistake which the Chinese, they don't want to commit, which Gorbachev had committed by unleashing policy of reforms which led to the collapse and the disintegration of the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union was not the world's second largest economy. China is. So if something happens to China, then it is bound to have a domino effect, and it will definitely negatively impact as far as the world is concerned. So I'll end here by questioning, by contesting what the Chinese president said, that only socialism can save China. But he has not explained to what extent it's socialism. But then he said that with Chinese characteristics. So does it mean capitalism? Does it mean private property? Then it is not socialism as such. It's not communism. Thank you very much.